I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today we're having a look at the recently launched 4th generation Lexus RX. I can't stress how important the RX is to Lexus. This is their best-selling model in many world markets, and it's particularly crucial here in Australia, where we absolutely love our high-riding wagons like this one. So when you contrast the RX to other recently launched medium luxury SUVs like the Mercedes-Benz GLC, what kind of a case does it make? Are there plenty of reasons why you should buy this rather angular, futuristic looking Lexus over one of its German competitors? Well, that's what we're here to find out. If the outside of the new RX is all sharp angles and hard edges, the inside is really the exact opposite. It's all soft surfaces and organic shapes in here, and in fact the inside of the new RX is just a beautiful place to be. This is a really nicely executed cabin. It starts with this gorgeous soft leather which really looks great in these earthy tones of tan and a dark brown, and the seats themselves are actually really supportive and relaxing over long distances. This particular car is the base model, but you still get heaps of creature comforts. The seats have heating and cooling. Bluetooth audio and navigation is of course standard, and they're presented on this slate-like tablet up here. Fancier models get a widescreen. This one is a little bit smaller, about 8 inches in size, and it's controlled with the fiddly and slightly annoying Lexus remote touch dial down here, but we will forgive it that because everything else that's included is just lovely, including the sound system on this base car, which is punchy, bassy, really crisp and just fantastic. As well as my normal commuting duties, I also use this RX for a weekend getaway up to the Hunter Valley with a few mates. I did have the car full, and so I can safely say that here in the back you can fit 3 adult men in here without any fuss. At least I certainly heard no fuss from up there. Partially that's because it's nice and wide, also because the floor is flat so there's no complaints, and you even have your own separate air vents back here, although this base car doesn't get its own fan or temperature controls. While we are comfortable back here though, let's talk about the price of our RX. This is the base car, the RX 200T Luxury, and it's $73,000. So that fits somewhere between the Mercedes GLC and GLE. And similarly, this car in size is between the GLC and the GLE, so that might work well for you. Upgrading the RX to the V6 will cost you $7,000, and the hybrid a massive $15,000 to upgrade. So I wouldn't bother. Keep it simple, stick with this base car, and it's got everything you need. The RX's boot is an okay size. We found it completely fine for 5 overnight bags on that weekend getaway. But at 453 litres, the science tells us that it is a fair bit smaller than its competitors. For example, the Mercedes GLC, which has 550 litres and will be that much more flexible. That said, you can put the seats down nice and easily, not completely flat, but we were actually able to transport a fairly large piece of furniture in this car with the seats down. Lexus is quickly dropping its new Turbo 4 into all of its new models, and that includes this new RX. Although you can also get the RX with the familiar 3.5 litre V6 or with an electric hybrid setup, the RX 200T is definitely the most interesting option. Now the RX is a pretty heavy SUV, so the Turbo doesn't exactly feel peppy, but there's certainly enough torque to get you moving in town, and on the highway, the RX 200T overtakes slower traffic with ease. Despite having 175 kilowatts and 350 newton meters of torque on tap here, the RX 200T manages to be fairly economical. We did about 9 litres per 100 Ks over our week with the car, and that was with about half of city and country driving. Now, given this is a petrol, that's actually not too bad. A diesel would be really nice, but it's simply not going to happen in a Lexus, and the hybrid is just too expensive for us to justify. But what about the RX's handling? Well, actually, that's a bit of a snooze fest. The steering is pretty limp, with not a great sense of what's happening underneath those front wheels. And speaking of the front wheels, the RX is actually a front-wheel drive car, not a four-wheel drive. So that means that under heavy acceleration, things can get pretty squirrely under those front wheels, and you do feel the sensation of being pulled through the corners by the front end. The RX's suspension is also super soft and comfortable, which most people will absolutely love. In town, this car soaks up bumps and potholes so competently. But at speed on a country road, that soft setup can actually make the RX feel a little bit floaty, and sportier drivers will never connect with the RX like you would in any of the BMW SUVs, for example. However, the RX is certainly extremely quiet, and most people will absolutely love how serene this car is. If you've got a long commute, you just drive a lot, or if you take the car out to a country property on a regular basis, the RX will be about as comfortable as things can get. Although the RX isn't covered by a cap price servicing program, Lexus services are well known for their additional benefits. They'll come and grab the RX from your house in the morning and leave you with a loaner car for the day. And it's also good news that this car recently scored the full 5 stars in the ANCAP crash testing program. With its combination of distinctive styling, a beautiful interior, and Lexus's trademark reliability, the RX will be a winner for many families. If a premium SUV is your thing, make sure you take this one out for a test drive, along with GLC, X3 and Q5.